So we've got lots planned. Your fight's coming up with Josh Padley. How's training been going for that?
Yeah, well, good. Obviously, I live in the gym. Just come back off of 2 back-to-back camps. Had a nice holiday. Straight back in the gym, straight back to it. The idea was to have 2 more outings before the year. That's looking very positive. So, yeah, we'll get the job done on 21st of September, and then we'll look on to what's next.
Do you know much about Padley? Have you looked him up?
No, I mean, I don't normally get too involved in that. I didn't even know who he was until they fired the name at me. It was all like a last minute thing, to be honest. The talks were maybe just one in London as staying active as such before the big one at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, they threw the name at me and offered me the spot on the big show, and obviously being on 2 of the Riyadh season shows back to back, I guess it would only make sense to make an appearance again. So yeah, take it with both hands, and yeah, we go again.
Yeah, so you've been on, like you just said there, you've been on 2 of the biggest shows that we've had in boxing in the last year, and the Wembley card's probably the biggest boxing show in the UK that we've had since I've been a boxing fan. So to be a part of all of that is something special.
Yeah, and Wembley's one to tick off the list because I've done the O2, the Wembley Arena, all of the other ones, the Copper Box, but Wembley Stadium is going to be one to tick off the list, that's for sure.
What's the sellout crowd? What are they estimating? Is it 80?
I think Fury done 95, didn't he? I think they were going to push for 100,000.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I think they got to have some form of license granted for that, but whatever they can push for in there is going to be the biggest stadium I've ever fought in, so I'm grateful to be part of it.
So when you started boxing in amateur, did you ever think you were going to turn professional?
The dream as a kid, I would love to always win a world title. In past interviews with other people, they say, what is the goal, like, what do you want to achieve? And even to take part in a world title fight, win a world title will be a dream come true. I mean, I've done more than I'd ever thought I would anyway today with 16 fights in. It just proves hard work pays off, and like I say, I've been doing it since I was 6 years old. I'm 25 now, so there's got to be a little bit of love for the sport and getting punched in the head, and yeah.
Who got you into boxing at 6 years old?
So it was my mum. Me and my brother, she wanted us to just go to school if we was ever to get bullied or approached out on the streets, just to know how to look after ourselves a little bit if we ever had to. It just went from there really, just took a love into it, went 2 times a week I think it was as a kid, and never really missed a session, and missed out on going out with like friends as kids. You know, you want to go to the park on your bikes or whatever, and you'd have to be in by 5, 6 o'clock for your dinner to go boxing. And just went from there really, and here we are today.
So you've always been disciplined as a kid then, so you don't know any different?
No, pretty much. I think like once my mum took us to the gym, and then my dad sort of realised that we were going to stick to it, because obviously as a kid you have football, every other sport going, and all my mates, they sort of went down the football route I think, and I was the only one that done the boxing. And yeah, me and my brother, we just stuck to it, and yeah, and we just took a love into it.
What was it like going to school when like you'd finish a fight on the weekend and you'd get a win and then you'd go in? Was you quite popular because of the boxing?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I'd guess it was more of a hobby. As I got more older, it got more serious, like winning the national titles and that, and you'd have the teachers call you into the office just to congratulate you and that. So yeah, I mean, it's always nice having people congratulate you, but when you're growing up with your mates, it's, like I say, it's just a hobby, and like, don't get me wrong, they do congratulate you, say well done and that, but it's not until now you look back and you think, well, all them years of hard work, like missing out with going out to parties and things like that, it's paying off. So
yeah, when people see fighters get big paydays and everything else, like let's say a heavyweight gets a knockout in the first minute, people are like, what? He's made 10 million in a minute. People don't realise they've boxed their whole life. They're in the gym twice a day, 6 days a week, whatever it may be. So the fact that you've been doing it from so young, people don't actually really realise when you are coming on to these big shows that this has been your life. You don't know any different.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like another saying goes that you only get out what you put in. And it's definitely true that hard work pays off. Like, you just got to keep your head down. The way I look at it is, if if you just graft for the next, I don't know, boxing career is short, isn't it? Say for instance, I just grafted as a kid all the way to 30 and I could retire at 30, say, and all my mates, not my mates, but the people in general, like, they're all having to work up until they're 50, 60, pay their mortgages off. Like, I could sit back with my feet up and know that I've done it, you know, put my feet up now and live the rest of my life, go out partying, go on holidays, do what I want to do later on in life. But you only get one chance in life, so you just got to take it with both hands and see where you can go, you know?
Yeah. And what time in your career did you realise that it was getting serious and you could make something of it?
I would say from when I won the senior title, because the plan was to always turn professional. I was on like the GB squad, but in every sport there's a bit of corruption, and I was unfortunate not to get picked for some competitions. Like, I'd done a couple of the minor ones, but there was like major ones that I should have went to. I won the championships. I'd done what I had to do. I went up to Sheffield, God knows how many times, on the GB squads, and never really got picked. I just felt like I was there just to make up the numbers for the sparring and that. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience, but enough was enough. I turned 18. I won the national senior title, and I just thought, let's just go for it. So yeah.
It's a lot better than, you do see a lot of amateurs turn pro too late in their career, and then they're sort of backpedaling, just trying to fast track it. Like, you look at even someone like Joe Joyce, he turned professional so late, and you're just watching them, that they've got X amount of time to make X amount of money. You turning over so early, you've had all this time to understand the business, understand the pro game, and it's probably worked out better for you, because you do see people staying there too long, waiting for the next Olympics or whatever that may be.
I think a lot of that might be down to just being comfortable. Like, it's their job to fight for England. They get their accommodation paid for, they get a yearly salary, whether it's monthly or yearly, I don't know. And it's just a comfortable way of living, isn't it? You don't pay rent, no mortgage, you live there for free, and you just fight for your country, I guess. Yeah. But I guess people have got other goals in life, whether they want to turn pro or stay amateur for their life, that's down to them, isn't it?
So what boxing gym were you at when you were amateur?
We was in a local gym up the road, a few miles away from our house, probably 3 miles. Yeah, I mean, it was a good club, and I think we was in the same club that moved like premises, like around the area. But yeah, there was a few kids come out of there that are still doing boxing now, but some people, when they hit 18, they sort of, it's the party and the girls and that, and they just chuck it all away, you know? And luckily I wasn't one of them to want to be too much involved in the party side of life, so I'll enjoy that later on.
Yeah, so you said off air you only went to one party when you were younger.
Well, yeah, I think I went to like more than one, but I remember just going to one and taking a crate of Foster's Gold with me, thinking like you're with your mates, you're the boy and that, and yeah, I don't even know how I got home. Still to this day, like, just put me off, and that wasn't the route I wanted to go down, and here we are today talking about my future in the gym. So,
who's been your biggest inspiration in boxing?
I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just like in my own lane, competing with myself as such. Like, I don't want to be better than anyone else. I just want to do what I can do in the sport and say I've done it. You know, like, still to this day, like, I can have a fight. I can go out and have a social drink with my mate after my fight, say, and you'll be sat there with your mates, and there'll be always someone that'll come over. Yeah, I used to do it when I was younger. I could have done this, could have done that, but like, mate, you haven't. Like, I don't want to be one of them. I want to go there maybe in 20 years' time to a pub to the next upcoming person and say, look, if you stick to it, this is what you'll do, this is what you'll get out of it. I don't want to be the person, yeah, I could have done this, could have done that. Like, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to be one of them.
The amount of times I've gone out to watch the boxing in like a lively bar, casino, pub, and they're out in full force.
Yeah.
When I was out in Oz, there was all these American guys. It was Fury against Deontay Wilder, the first fight. And we had this guy the whole time. I was middleweight champ back in the States. He was giving it all a big one. And I was like, what's your name again? Tried to look him up, and I looked up the name of the guy that he said. Looked nothing like him. He was chatting rubbish. And I'm thinking, if this is what you're getting off on, pretending to be somebody else, like living this dream in your own head.
Sad.
It is funny how many. There was a stat as well. They said men overestimate just how good they can fight by 400%.
Yeah.
So the majority of people, especially in the comments section, right, you see it all the time. Everyone has their opinion. Not many people actually are disciplined. Not many people do actually train properly, like athletes, and can fight. And like you said there, you're dedicated to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear, because there's a lot of kids out there that they could easily be influenced by these shit talkers.
Yeah.
And these people have never done anything in their lives.
It's like the people that, like, no disrespect to them for obviously putting a pair of gloves on, but it's like the people that come into it late thinking, I want to be a professional fighter, and they just think, oh, there's a lot of money involved. But what about all the people that have worked hard all their life as a kid, doing it properly, going up through the amateur ranks and fighting all around the country? Like, it shouldn't be about the money. It should just be about you and your goals and what you want to achieve. But let's say I take my hat off to anyone that gets in there, because it's not easy. And also you're risking your life as well, not just for yourself, but for people to sit at home with a Chinese and watch the football, the boxing and that, to just, I don't know, like, for your own safety as such, like for their own laughter as such.
Yeah, so you've got serious knockout power. You've had loads of big knockouts, and one thing I have noticed is people that do knock people out and have that power to do that, they all seem to have the same realization that it is a dangerous sport, and you've received so much praise for what you can do, but you are damaging another person's life. So do you realize that when you're in there sometimes at the end?
Yeah, I mean, when the bell goes and you're punching each other in the face, you don't think of nothing like that, but it does sort of hit you. Like my last one in Saudi, he was like out on his face, and he's got up and he stumbled past me. His eyes were like rolling his head, and they've sat him down, give him oxygen and that, and you do look and think like, Jesus, is he going to be all right? Like we had it not so long ago. I think it was Nick Ball when he fought one of the African blokes. I think he put him in a coma, didn't he? Like they put his arm up, give him the decision or whatever, and then I think he collapsed backstage. I think he was in a coma for a week. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's crazy.
I've seen some knockouts ringside, really close, and to witness it up front, it's nice talking about knockouts. It's glamorized to the casual fan, but to see someone unconscious, sometimes it is. Like my friend got beat bad last month, and just seeing it live, especially when you've got a personal connection to him, it's a whole different side of the sport that people don't really dive into.
Yeah, it's like when we was ringside when Ngannou fought Joshua. The force of them punches, honestly, he was out, like, seriously looked like he was out. But then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, he's up on his feet like nothing had happened, It's crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be on the end of one of them.
So in the amateurs, obviously you said you won national titles as a schoolboy, junior and senior?
No, so junior, youth and senior. I had 48 amateur fights, 44 wins. Not one for excuses. A couple of them were rematches, and then I went on and beat them. But is what it is. The way I look at it, it's like your CV before you turn pro. Just got to keep fighting, staying active, win what you can, and then when you do want to turn pro, you've got more to bring to the table as such, and it'll open up more doors and deals for you, I guess.
What were your biggest learning fights in the amateurs?
I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I got to a stage, I think once I got to like 20, 25 fights, it was hard to get a fight. You either had to travel or it would only be a championship fight. So, I mean, all the championship fights I had were good learning fights as such, because they're all, once you get to that level, they're all good boys in the country. Especially when you get to like the quarterfinals and the semis and then the finals, like you're in there and it's all 50-50 fights. So yeah, you learn in everything really.
Who was your hardest fight as an amateur?
I fought an Australian kid from Islington. I can't remember his name. He was tough. He was tough. I hit him with absolutely everything and he was just still stood in front of me. That was as a senior, I remember that. There wasn't no one really that stood out to say, wow, that was like my hardest, but I would say that was my hardest as a senior. Definitely.
Did you put a lot of guys away as well in the amateurs?
Yeah, honestly, every senior fight I had, everyone touched the canvas. Not all of them got stopped, but every one of them touched the canvas at least once. So
that is unheard of in the amateurs.
Yeah, honestly, I won my first senior title as the first year as a senior, and it's a big jump when you turn 18. You're then like fighting anyone up to, is it 35 years old, or has it changed now? But yeah, that was like a good achievement for me, because obviously I was still a boy at the time and I was beating men, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, and what was sparring like as an amateur as well? Did you have a lot of guys your weight, or did you have to travel for that too?
No, I was always sparring the bigger boys. As an amateur, I was sparring Josh Taylor. I think this was before he was undisputed. But still great sparring. Like going from a 3-round amateur fighter to then going to fight someone at that, spar someone at that level is crazy to even get in and share a ring with them. But yeah, I've sparred a good few blokes over the years as a kid. Yeah.
Did you get called into quite a few pros camps then?
Not so much called in. It was more the case of just phoning around for sparring, because it was hard to get sparring. So I thought, if I go and spar the big boys, then they're going to give me what I need, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it was always good sparring a professional, because they bring something different to the table, you know.
So when you turned pro, did you sign with Frank straight away? Have you been with him from the start?
Yeah, so I started my pro journey off with Wayne Batten in Southampton. He sort of managed my career, and then Frank Hopkins and Wayne took me to Frank, got me a deal with Frank, and then yeah, it was only like 4 or 5 fights ago. I've been working with Jared. And I just made the decision to make the break from over there and come over here, because everything worked well for me and Jared. And that's another thing I need to mention as well. Like, Jared doesn't get the respect he should. He sits back a lot and don't get involved, but honestly, I wouldn't be the fighter I am today. 1, without Wayne starting me off in my pro journey, and 2, Jared making me who I am today. So yeah, I just can't thank him enough for that.
I guess you mean that's also them helping you outside of the ring, not just training you
Yeah,
in the gym.
he's a great friend of mine outside the ring, but once we're in the gym, it's strictly work, you know. The friendship goes to one side, and we got a job to do in here, and yeah, things change a little bit. But
so where was your professional debut?
My professional debut was Brentwood Centre, I think. Yeah, that can
get lively there.
5 years ago. Yeah, I remember that. That was in December time, middle of December.
How was it? How was the whole walkout? Because it's completely different to the amateurs, isn't it?
Yeah, it was something new. Didn't really know what to expect. You only get one debut. I think mine was over in like 39 seconds. But it was fun while it lasted.
When you get these first round knockouts, do you go out the back and blast the pads for a bit just to get your energy? Because obviously fight week, you taper down. You've even seeing you train at the end of it today, you've got all of this build up, and if you put someone out in a minute, like, you've got all this energy, right? You've got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that. It's like when you have 2 back-to-back camps, like I had the Gwyn fight, I was training hard as always. And then I went on holiday for a week, but I was training every day out there. And I come back, I had another 7-8 week camp, so it was 2 back to back. When I got the fight over and knocked him out in the first round, I just thought, yes, take these off. I'm going to chill now. I said to Frank, do not ring me for a date in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They're telling me I've got 6 weeks to get ready. Just leave me alone for a bit. And yeah, I just went and switched off. And
what did you do?
Chilled out. Just literally went on holiday for 10 days. And then just had a bit of family time, met up with a few friends, went out with the friends, and yeah, just enjoyed a bit of normal life, you know, because boxing takes over your life, and you can't just eat, sleep, train good all the time. Like, you need to live a life, because it just takes over you otherwise, and just gets on top of you.
Are you quite a family man then? Have you got kids?
Yeah, I've got a 7-year-old daughter. So yeah, I mean, I can't stay in one place for more than an hour. So Do you know what I mean? I can't be here, there and everywhere. I can never chill out. Like, I'm ordered to chill out or stay out of the gym, whether it's when I've had a fight or what. I just don't know. I'd boil it down to a bit of ADHD maybe.
Mm-hmm. Have you found it hard with some of the sacrifice when now you have got your 7-year-old with boxing, trying to find a balance and obviously not missing too much of her?
No,
life?
it's not much has changed really, because I'm not with her mum no more. Haven't been together for like 5 years, so like I have her on my set days. So when I have Ruby, obviously I have the time for her. So it doesn't get too much involved with what I'm doing. She comes up here quite a lot though, but as a 7-year-old, you get bored, I guess. As a kid, you don't want to be in a place more than 10 minutes. So yeah, she's a bit like me here, there, and everywhere.
So your record, you've actually boxed quite a lot of winning records as well. In terms of what you've already achieved in 16 fights, it's pretty good. You're pushing on to the world level now. Obviously, European champion. Like you're only a few fights away now from the big money fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I'll get a shot. Talking to Frank, there's something positive happening soon. So obviously I've got a job to do on the 21st of September. I'm not looking past that. But yeah, I mean, 16 fights in, unbeaten. So something's got to happen for me very soon, I'd like to think.
There was a lot of people, when you boxed Gavin Gwynn, there were a lot of people that were maybe more casual fans, not writing you off, but they thought it was going to be a lot more competitive than what it was. And you didn't really miss a punch. It was clinical. And he's a very good fighter.
Yeah.
But you made it look clear that there's levels in boxing, and it was a demolition job.
Yeah, I mean, take nothing away from Gavin. He is a great fighter, and he still is now, and he's won a lot, and yeah, he's a great champion. But we knew from being in the gym what we had worked on, like it was just simple stuff and just putting the pressure on that would beat him. Didn't expect to catch him in the first round and break his eye socket like I did, but it's boxing, anything can happen. No doubt he would have carried on to the final bell being a fighter, but obviously you've got to think of your health over anything else, and I think they made the right decision because you couldn't even see his actual eyeball through the skin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. Like, I'll never forget it. It was like having like a plum on his cheek, and every time he was getting punched, it was just like wobbling all over, like it was going to explode.
Yeah, it looked bad. It looked really bad on telly. I can't imagine what it was like being in front of him.
Probably shouldn't have got on the flight on the way home either. We was on a flight at 8 o'clock next morning, sat there for 7 hours.
Was you on the same flight with him?
Yeah, he was over the other side.
Did you chat to him after?
I had a little chat with him at the airport. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Shake hands and you get on with your life.
Yeah.
It's not nice to see anyone lose or lose. I mean, I don't ever want to know that feeling, you know, but yeah, I mean, the main thing is he went home safe to his family and he lives to fight another day. So yeah, best of luck to him in his future.
So I first heard of your name when you were many years ago on a collision course to fight Sam Noakes. So I first heard that at some point in your careers it's going to happen, right? I went to school with Sam. Obviously he's on his own career. He's got his own path. He's fighting soon, headlining at York Hall. So do you think that fight will definitely happen in the next couple of years? Yeah,
I mean, it's always there to be made. It can't not get made. We're both under the same roof. Father and son manage us, Frank and Francis. So it's a fight that could happen just like that. But it's got to make sense. I mean, he's on his path, I'm on mine. It was sort of done previously, but I had my stitches in and they wanted it like too soon and it just wasn't realistic, so that never happened. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something big on the line for that now, I guess. So with the right man being Turk that's involved in boxing now as well, I'm sure something can happen next year, who knows. Mm-hmm.
And at the world level, it's mainly the Americans that are dominating. Is there any Americans that you'd like to fight?
I see Keyshawn Davies calling me out the other day. I think he's after a world title. I think he's been in talks with someone, but something's been said along the way. So Who knows? I mean, I'll get in there and have a go with anyone being a fighter. No doubt any other fighter will tell you the same. So, yeah, if any of the Americans want to have a go, I'm more than open to having a chat and getting it on, no problem.
Well, you're in one of the most stacked divisions. So I think once you do go fight one American, you're going to have a whole list
all
of them
the
waiting.
Yanks after me.
Yeah, there's so many. Have you got any dream locations to fight in America, like MSG, Vegas?
I'd like to fight in Vegas. Vegas is definitely somewhere I would like to fight, just to tick it off the list. That's where all the big fights happen, isn't it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful to even fought in Saudi Arabia, especially on the biggest platforms, and obviously Saudi's where it's at now. I think the vision there's 2030, they want to own everything. So I think that's becoming more a normal thing now, though, the Saudi Riyadh season, because it's everywhere now, isn't it? So
yeah, they're finally making boxing great again, really. They're putting together so many 50-50 fights that for years we've been deprived as boxing fans. We've all been waiting around. We've been like, you know, when was Bud ever going to fight Spence? When's Bivol ever going to fight Beterbiev? You're getting it all in 1 year.
And you're getting unbelievable fights all on the same card.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's actually quite a lot to take in. As a fan watching it for 6 hours at home, it's a lot to take in because they're all main event fights the whole way through.
But it just shows you, doesn't it? If you've got the money, it can be done. Like you say, they're all main event fights, all fighting on the same card. So, yeah, he's just a man with crazy amounts of money that wants to see crazy fights, I guess.
Yeah, so in boxing, every single great fighter, when they retire, they look back on certain fights, they're dance partners. Is there any big names out there that you think will cement your legacy when you're done? Is there any sort of 135-pounders, 140-pounders?
Nah, I wouldn't say there is. I mean, like say, I would be happy to fight for a world title anyway, regardless who it is, whether it's an American or someone else. Like, just get me in a world title fight, and that'll be something I can look back on and say that I've done, you know.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about Ryan Garcia and everything that's happened with him lately?
I think he's lost the plot, hasn't he? Great fighter. I see him in Saudi. He's just on one. Like, I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah.
He was a bit mental. Like, I don't know. I guess he needs help.
Yeah. It's crazy what's happened with him. It's crazy. So predictions for your fight coming up. There's a lot of people that are obviously going to be backing you against Padley. How do you think the fight's going to finish?
Same as the other ones, really. I mean, I won't go looking for a stoppage. I never do. If it comes, it comes. But no doubt he will be hurt in there at some point. I mean, we've got 10 rounds to do it. So, I mean, I see a little clip the other day, him saying, whoever's come to have a go and stand toe-to-toe, they've either been stopped or dropped. Bring it on. Let's go.
Brilliant. And have you got any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I mean, all of my sponsors, there's a few, so I won't reel them off individually, but they all know who they are, and without them I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. So just a massive thank you to my sponsors for their continuous support.
Well, thank you for your time and all the best in September.
Thank you.
My name is Dennis McCann, professional boxer for Frank Moore and MTK Global. This is Fortress Boxing. A lot more protection, it's a no-brainer around your thumbs, around your knuckles, around my wrist. That's exactly where I have the problems at. They're very compact, so I feel like I'm punching hard with them on as well. And I feel like when you got sparring 14, 16 ounce gloves, the smaller wraps can't really, they're too small for the gloves, that makes sense. So these are a bit bigger, and they're getting the gloves a bit more, to make them more compact. 1, 2, hook. 1, 2, hook. Go.